O Nama Shri Soha, O Namo Manju Shri, Nama So Shri, Nama O Nama Shri Soha, O Namo Manju Shri, Nama So Shri, Nama O Nama Shri Soha. 举头足给出那拉，将诸万多难的要素解，大给春夜给别从难给，过了本节上给诸百说，举头足给出那拉，将诸万多难的要素解，大给春夜给别，过了本节上给诸百说。当这个从哪来？将就把多难的告诉姐，大概去年特别从哪里？过了边界上给主吧说，些被给首先没多少，人上那些地铁给把的，上给新多没得，所以就给那个现在这吧说，当过路人他们到了康的呀，大呀。Please adjust your sitting posture according to 7 meditative qualities of Vairocana. Think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers, not just once, but for numberless times. All sentient beings are as kind as my mothers in this life. Even though all kind mothers sentient beings want happiness and do not want even a small suffering. However, due to engaging wrongly in objects of adoptions and abandonment, they do not experience only happiness but suffering. In our mind, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mother sentient beings were to have happiness and the causes of happiness that are virtue. May all kind mother sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. I will cause all kind mother sentient beings to have happiness and the causes of happiness. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice it would be if the bodies of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as physical pain, sickness, suffering, and problems caused by 4 elements. May the bodies of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue. Now free the bodies of all suffering mother sentient beings from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the minds of all suffering mothers and sentient beings were free from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as mental suffering, fear, and all false and subtle negative discursive thoughts. May the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue. Or free the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
Pages much like G Madana, Mark Sinners, Majin, but Hara, Kappa, or Chibito, the Bishop of the Shinamana,
How nice it would be if the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue, all coarse and subtle negative speech, such as telling lies. May the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue. Our free speech of all suffering mother sentient beings from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
Pages the white division Mandana to go so the show and give it to common. So, did you draw a Bishop of the Shinamana, she wrote the so to the Virgin Words.
How nice it would be if all mother sentient beings were free from all suffering and the causes of suffering that are non-virtue. May all mother sentient beings be free from all suffering and the causes of suffering. I will free all mother sentient beings from all suffering and the causes of suffering. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
Pages the white division Mandana County, the radar, the major Jum, the Bill of the Tana. So, the Bishop of the Shinamana, she wrote the same. What is another difference?
How nice it would be if the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all classes accordant with accomplishing virtue. May the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from all classes accordant with accomplishing virtue. Or free the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
Pages the white city the town, she coordinates with the wallet doing some of them. Yarala project that in Yaga Yanda was the Sunday running. When you go soon, Nanda was the Sunday, you see the county, something combined with what is in the regular Chinese symbols.
Next, we generate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take on the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms? I should take on the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms. Even though I should take on the responsibilities, I do not have the abilities to do so now. Who has such abilities? Those who have achieved perfectly complete enlightenment have the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the precious state of enlightenment.
有些事情突然的上去就公布到多少，那你 maybe 谁工作不定，上个那个没结果，有时候那么注意去接到那个，我们谁，连到的强势中，那个等于经过对的，不这个的这个的那么经的就是这都是没有见，今天就不是些意思。
Next, we generate all-encompassing yoga mind. The aspiring conventional bodhicitta that thinks, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. These transform into a perfect moonbeams at one's point. And the ultimate bodhicitta, that is, one's mind becoming in one phase with emptiness, the lack of inherent existence. These transform into a white five-pronged vajra on top of the moonbeams.
那是到我的上，这个这个的看见我这个东西，这个多你这我们的这个说法。
Next, we meditate on emptiness for a short while. That I exist, neither intrinsically one with, nor intrinsically different from the aggregates. Thus, I am empty of intrinsic existence.
就是你就是考虑到不你的科技都跟原来生活的天天不是嘛？我们就是那个人家的电商的刚些把电视机上去电话的对面的对吧？你去都有啥看到？我什么因为我什么拿去对比东西跟我的去的话，应该你也也是不会的，
As I always mention, it is important and also beneficial to conjoin or roots of virtue of our three doors with the practice of six perfections. Thus, to conjoin these roots of virtue with the practice of six perfections is as follows. The first one is generosity. The nature of generosity is an intention of giving. These roots of virtue of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma is for achieving the happiness and purify the sufferings of all sentient beings.
对于这个的关系的这边我是不行，那啥我的几率可是更大，你好比你进一步的是，我的嘛就这个我们讲的，按照你说或者几百亿的，那个是别在的，按照这个不一样的是的。
Next is morality. The nature of morality is a mind of abandonment. When I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on the Dharma, I will properly abandon my physical and verbal negativities so that verbal misdeeds, so that they do not manifest in these 2 hours.
那手把手的，我们并不是把的随便我什么东西，那那上我的几率高是什么？那讲的理性了，当然的等于可这种话呢，就当然的水土啊，你种不一样。那第一个是别在的水里不行，的是不是？
Next is patience. The nature of patience is an undisturbed mind. When I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on the Dharma, I will patiently accepting any physical or mental hardships that occur in these 2 hours.
那第一个是讲的最时候的给我了，不是吧？对你我什么东西？那那上不是结果了，谁给我的对的，对什么样？那第一个是别在的，真是不一样的是不是？
Next is joyous effort. The nature of joyous effort is a mind that takes delight in virtue. I will delightfully putting effort in. Sorry, I will delightfully put effort in listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma.
第一上的时候看到，是给你把朋友自己的你把的上的就没什么东西。那那时候是基于个是，谁的你拿到的哪样的跑忙的， 你上过的几个给小我的把写的这句都要不就你多一呢？你个是给这的，这上去不一样的是不是？
Next is meditative civilization. The nature of meditative civilization is a mind that single-pointedly focuses on any virtuous object. I will single-pointedly focus my mind on the roots of virtue, of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma, without being influenced by distractions and recursive thoughts.
哎，觉得之外的，觉得他们自己，把那些的模式嘛东西，脸上过的基本个是，脸上过的基本吃的比较看的，那对他的商业或当性格方面，我也会写这个就完了。那第一个是对他的这个不是那些不是。
The last one is wisdom. The nature of wisdom is an awareness that thoroughly distinguishes phenomena. I will properly and unmistakenly understand the words and meanings of the teachings that I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on.
那第二就是显示，就长期在这上去是不到个累积的，他强调让这个去给让你自己的这个世界的这个啥都没有不继续是。
Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For this purpose, I'm going to listen to the commentaries on Lam Rim teachings and practice accordingly in order to benefit sentient beings.
那等于我，那还是对的，那帮助了老师的时候，你话，
Today we are going to start with. Today we are going to talk about the practice of special insight.
那刚才讲的，现在的都是必须多啥的是吧？那这样子呀，基本上是搞的呀，做的样子就那种是吧？我的当然是看的，那很多的开心不是的，今天都开心不是的是，当然是东北的天的比到不去写完了的，你的很多那个了并不是，当然是讲的，对相当节目，那个，然后对努力什么资料我写不去通了，都没有啊，都没有啊的，那你说你个有个呢？我这个是我读的也是电东西，那是弄没有的，是吧？弄没有，大的东西点到当个快车是这个计程是这个是，弄没有那么多家里这那个吧，啊是吧？咱知道个弄有多么了，点不出去是吧？那这个东西还是对，现在点崩还是弄没有，把那个弄没有给点不出，这个东西咱多少人上是，能多少人是吧？
Okay, so we have completed the topic on karma abiding. So then today we are going to talk about special insight. So uh, in order to develop a correct understanding on emptiness, we need to have karma abiding and special insight. So previously, when we talk about karma abiding, the relationship between karma abiding and special insight is like a viewing a mural or a picture in a cave. Viewing a picture at night, then so you need a light, and then that light is not disturbed by wind. So that light must be bright enough. So that bright light refers to special insight that is not disturbed by wind. So that refers to come abiding. So with these two aspects, then only then we can view the pictures clearly at night. So it talks about how important it is to have these two, come abiding and special insight. So since we have already completed the topic on come abiding, so in a way that we can say that, oh, I say just for the sake of auspiciousness. So we have generated a karma binding.
而同盟网这的，那实际的强中的嘛，对吧？就讲到杭州同盟网是实际杭州的错，意思是吧？杭州的错的嘛，对吧？当然比别的错什么东西的，啊，屁股啊，杭州不这个这个，意思吧？
So how to train in special insight? This has 4 points. And the first point is relying on the prerequisites of special insight.
要讲到杭州的错，这点吧，对了，看到基本当把了电吧是，那基本当把了电吧是吧？看到，当然的对，里边的，里边的多了看到，那杭州的呢，毕竟呢，咱讲到可是了政府的，这两个被电视就忙了吧，去新巴了的政府的，是吧？基本当把了电吧是，这点了缺吧，点了缺吧走，那缺吧的开心不多啊，点了给你缺吧去吧，那缺吧的钱呢，不管哪些缺的，他自己的生活吧。 그게 되게 더 지기도 선배지고 그랬어. 그 리지 내가 이나 내가 어떤 건지 되게 또 아까 내가 오셔 그랬어. 와.
The first sub-outline is general presentations on how to rely on the prerequisites of special insight. The second stages of meditation sets forth 3 prerequisites for special insight. The first one is relying on holy beings. The second one is seeking to study the Dharma with them and reflecting on it properly. So this is the 3 prerequisites for special insight. So first, we must rely on the holy beings or spiritual friends, and then from whom we learn the Dharma. So we study the Dharma from them, with them, then we learn about the objects of abandonment and the objects of adoptions. So having studied or listened to those Dharma, then we reflect on it. So by having these 3 prerequisites for special insight, only then we can develop the realizations on the meaning of, on the profound meaning.
那两个地方都是做什么的，我他妈的继续留着啊，那不是嘛嘛，我他妈继续留着啊，那个呢，那不对，就是说，那工作上的就是说的嘛，这国里爸爸的什么的，那可能他妈那些了，他妈那些了，看到国里爸爸是说的，那这个他妈的对吧？今天怎么找，就是给自己的生活，给了他们的错什么的，那国里爸爸的什么也是的，他们是吧？
So these 3 prerequisites for special insight are mentioned in second stages of meditation by Master Kamalashan.
那对了，没办法看到，在他会比就是他们我的幸福啊，他看到，你，这个的，什么都那个鼓励，是真的鼓励，我也鼓励，我们幸福啊，不学。
So, and here it talks about the reason why we need to study or listen to the Dharma and why we need to reflect or contemplate on that.
他看到生活就你心里忙了吧，你当看到开发起来电力，他慢慢的学，慢慢的学你的提升，现在今天都给到了结果的些，刚才讲说，他看到俺们是这个别弄了就的学会，对学会上面，也是个点吧。 那都没那几个我嘞，现在节目个路，好吧？光本地学本地的话，对，我那假如你本地的，对吧？那当然也是我这看到，对，因为你这个兄弟，英国去了看到的话，是这个当我边上的，马路啊的马主要去兄弟你这个呗，对的嘛，对，鼓励到也是的，看到介绍兄弟你鼓励也是多。 然后是特殊企业的学，努力的结果呢，这样呀，我感觉就是我嘛，然后面我兄弟的去鼓励是，怎么能去鼓励是，他刚才兄弟讲的，你这个呗，上面东北就对了，你跟你兄弟，遇到我这里的嘛，这个也是。
It is an indispensable causal prerequisite of special insight to study the stainless text with experts who unmistakably know the essential points of the scriptures and then to develop the view that realizes suchness by means of the wisdoms of studying and reflecting. So when we study the Dharma, we need to study those Dharma or those texts, those stainless texts. And later we are going to talk about this as well. So we need to study those texts composed by those great trailblazers or the great charioteers. So later we are going to talk about it. For example, we need to study those texts composed by those Indian great masters and also Lama Tsongkhapa and his disciples. So we need to study those valid texts. If not, if we were to study those uh, texts that is not stainless, then we will be led to a wrong path.
那等到这个有了师傅的话就，那怎么你比兄弟看到，我给了他，然后最后等到了第二年，那你就觉得，上当是吧？那上当呢，刚才这个情况是吧？这个情况的，你上当的你这个情况，看到这个看到，你就是写的过来，这个写的怎么呢？我们那个很多激动嘛，也是我。你别特别，一般你别特别狼狈的，结巴了，不是，这个心就不理解，是吧？什么根本就觉得领导你是吧？而且领导你都满意些，你被切到要，那就必须大下经历，你是当不，那个这个写的就不理解，是吧？他切那个切，你是他切不了，对你，那个把机会也是嘛，基本上知道这个行当都把意思也是嘛。
This is because if you lack the view that has discerned the ultimate modes of being, the realization of special insight that realizes things as they are cannot arise. So first, we must listen or study those stainless texts. Then we need to contemplate on it. And then when we contemplate, then we also need to analyze them. Oh, yeah, we need to analyze them. So the meaning of emptiness. So we need to identify the object of negations, whether something is or is not object of negations. So we need to analyze those points. So after generating wisdom of analysis, then only then we can generate the view and realizing the modes of being. So the modes of being also refers to the ultimate the ultimate modes of being or the ultimate truth.
那第三个我们刚才但是可能习惯那些话，可能新的节目，我们就别解释那里嘛说，我们的到社会的从那个节目的节目也是过的话，那这里嘛，应该节目你可能会解释到，我你看到，在我的来啊，我到我来，我们那么的，你那么东西，肯定别等于七八年不就收过去，是吧？当地的民的时候，这个得来的七八千，涨上去七八的，现在单位的就说是干。或者什么，他本来都是团队非常不了不起，基本上当地的没生活吧，当地的我嘛是吧，本来的些多有嘛的吧，就是你嘛是呢，他的这个吃的也是老的，他的些活的什么，这他的嘛现在你吃的也是老多嘛，你呢这你的家是的情况下，我得说的话，你也是的，要的些嘛，现在你也是那些嘛，
也许
你的叫你叫。你的写的那里边的那种颜色的吧，这种人嘛是吧？你认识那种的吧？哦，你那是这年龄就多的，年龄就说了的，你什么了？那那个是不认识，是吧？对，当地的要我的嘛写的呢，这也是多嘛，也是个。
Again, such a view must be sought by one who is relying not on the interpretable meaning, but on the definitive meaning. Therefore, you need to know the difference between interpretable and definitive meanings and to comprehend the meaning in the scriptures of definitive meaning. So we need to study those stainless texts, right? And then in terms of view, there are two. So the view of definitive meaning and the view of interpretable meaning. So we need to rely on the view of definitive meaning, not on the view of interpretable meaning. So, however, in order to identify, then rely on the definitive meaning, we must first identify what interpretable meaning is. So if not, we are unable to identify what what definitive meaning is. So just like in order to understand what is in order to understand the front, then we must understand we must understand the back. So by knowing the back, then we understand what is in the front. So similarly, in order to rely on the definitive meaning, so we must first identify the interpretable meaning.
当我是分享了，我说，我说团结和对有的很大，地形多少了，我是变小为了，天气小为了，但可能当过的，那就是地形多，也是我说啊，有当过，但可能当过地形多的也是有的，那刚才对当他上地送差的多啊，送的多的话，有差的多的，当地形多是老怪的，当地是老怪，军事老气的话，OK。他哪里去过是呢？不能当不个缺，看到他的进度这个电影，非常简单的进度这个也是双减，我就是他的进度这个也是双减，他的进度这个也双的，他多少的，我们如果你双的，另外说，地方吧，也是个结果的是，那另外是个结果是呢，那个进度这个也是双杀的，一下子了，大概他进度这个嘛，说呢，进度如果马的是，那呢？你晓得啦，是的，你我嘛的，是的，你那个，为啥子那个经济嘛，对吧？这是个，你对呀的，是吧？你，我看到有的是哪的，或一般是哪的，得6月嘛，我等车都有，是吧？为啥子那个经济嘛，对吧？这是呢，你这钱对下去了吧？对下去了，那个经济对吧？嘛，对吧？那个经济对吧？店内，到都来看你缺的嘛多。那过了，成绩不马的是点为呢？这刚才对下个，我都去图了嘛，刚才做了去图了，做了马上往上涨，成绩不好的也是，那么的，你看肯定个比较的了，你是切都没得，说是的，反正我毕业去了，这两天成绩不好嘛，是吧？还是是吧？我毕业去了，觉得成绩不好，还是，你那要等你对下的了，切的历史作业切到，刚才成绩不好，说吧的是，这说吧的。把那刚才呀，我刚才我也吃也起码都，那说非常非常清楚了，马里起来的呢，我落了主要的是呢，我到底是个，那个是行情协会是吧？你当我当我那他就了领导是是吧？我的老板的，就是讲到的，那吧啊，那东西呢，就是讲到是嘛，对吧？所有的呢，对吧？是行吧了，那个经济吧，也是老板的事，马路那没去，现在得看到。做了许多个嘛，这是我对，我把就是对的，但是长得很多也是那个，也个话，
全显的过后的话，
当然你是到上几个出来就到他是看就他的话，这个给你吃了，是吧？
Like for example, for Prasangika Madhyamika, then when they Prasangika Madhyamika assert that the sutra of the first turning the wheel of Dharma are those sutras of interpretable meaning. So then we must understand what does it mean by interpretable meaning. So those sutras of the first wheel uh, of the first wheel are sutras taught by Buddhas, right? And then during the first wheel, then Buddha taught that all phenomena are established by way of its own character. So even though in reality, all phenomena are not established by way of its own character, but Buddha taught during the first wheel that all phenomena are established by way of its own character. So then we must understand why did Buddha teach in this way. It's uh, because of the intended audience. So uh, in accordance with the mental capability of the intended audience, then Buddha taught that all phenomena are established by way of his own character. So if Buddha were to teach that all phenomena are established by way of its own character during the first real to those intended audience, to those audience, they will not be able to understand it. They are they do not have the mental capacity to understand such profound meaning. So because of this reason, then Buddha taught during the first will that all phenomena are established by word of its own character. So even though the literal words are like this, however, the meaning of those words should be interpreted otherwise.
我一刚刚到长地说的，这个老板呢，就专门比那次了，没话说的，咱个现在国国是那个长地是的话，
是老板娘，
老板呢是没主要嘛是吧？嘛，我这个我学堂在那个记的吧，哎，这记基本上是啊，你要接触了，你就怕来呀嘛多，原来我呢是那个记的嘛，对吧？是吧？我就是的啊，也是，而且有的话，我也是，也等到的些的话，也是吧？我这里说上。对这些就是说，这一切都技术上，这刚才讲的很多的也是，那咱就是不怎么那个话。
So for Prasangika Madhyamika, the first wheel of Dharma are those sutras of those sutras of interpretable meaning. So and then during the first wheel, Buddha taught that all phenomena are established by way of his own character. So and however, you should you should interpret it differently without following the literal meaning. So when you say you interpret you have to interpret it otherwise instead of following the literal meaning. So that is why it's called interpretable meaning. So you interpret it differently instead of following the literal meaning.
他当地的定义是，当然的是讲他辛苦吧，他人家就说了的，人家说的话是写了这个大不了，他看人家很多的，也是他就是讲的话，他就是来写了你们的人家很多的，他让几个所以呢，他就多的了，是吧？是吧？他也写了你们的，看他人家很多的，他人家很多是老个子的，他写了这个这个，他就让自己把这个店家的店铺拿去人了，还是他看他，是吧？他就让这自己把这个店家的店铺拿去调了。人家毕竟是了，你调了他了，没什么，你调了去老板那调，去老板那调了他了，没事，是吧？调了送他，人家也就。
Then the second one is the Sutra of Definitive Meaning. So the Sutras of Definitive Meanings for Prasangika Madhyamika, Sutras is a sutra of definitive meaning. So even though Svatantika Madhyamika assert Sutra as a sutra of interpretable meaning, however, since now we are studying the view according to Prasangika Madhyamika, so for Prasangika Madhyamika, Sutra is a sutra of definitive meaning. So sutra of definitive meaning means that the words and the meanings are exactly the same. So the words also says that all phenomena do not establish by way of its own character, and the meaning also meaning-wise it also means the same. So the words and the meanings are the same. You do not have to interpret it otherwise. So Sutra, therefore Sutra is a sutra of definitive meaning for Prasangika Madhyamika.
那这里是让俺让你去不起来，人家就说了，你看过得去不来，上人家就说了是吧？那叫人家不怕讲话，那人家说写了你不话，那你讲话，那人家就说了，那就过得去不来，但人家就说了，写了你不对，人家就不，但是那懂嘛你不话，所以你不对，你在多，那懂嘛你不对，嘛你说的，人家说了，写了你不对的，那懂嘛你过得去不来，是吧？他懂得不懂嘛？讲的是吧？把教育呢，我人家就说了句，然后混到去过来也是很多啊。他人家就说什么说，那现在你我这个这样的主要的考虑呢，什么东方人，他东方就别的混到去，也是他你就说了对，我到现在你我店里，原接下来我啊，也是我。
So we need to rely on the Sutra of Definitive Meaning, and then we also need to comprehend the meaning of the scriptures of definitive meaning. So the scripture of definitive meaning, for example, Sutra. So the meaning of the Sutra, so the scriptures of definitive meaning such as Sutra, right? So the meaning of the Sutra is emptiness. So we need to hands on the sutras of definitive meaning and then to understand or to comprehend the emptiness. the meaning of emptiness in the scriptures of definitive meaning, such as Heart Sutra.
앉아 들려고 다 소로지 소리 잡고 치고래 치고라 그래서 거실을 입어라 나 도시 제발에 대한 폰 치투고 약간의 가고 있어 이 치투 아들 실은 이거 대한 폰도 치발라 가라 된 거야 저거 안 된 거야 그래서 튀긴 데와데 아 제가 이거 뭐리고 그래야지 오 그래야지 이게 또막 공부를 되게 좀 근데 이 시원한 뛰네 저 그런 거 보고 근데 진짜 어떻게 내가 보고 그래 에스다 근데 시고 와 때문에 힘 쏜지 게 보시 공부 땡기라 맞나 네 주도 말했다 그냥 봐도 이거 되게 또 치봐라 봐봐 이거 내가 되게 어떤 쪽에 땅을 그 쉐파 그거지 나중에 와치다 와치다 와 되게 라티네 되게 되는 거 보고 그래서 당연히 시월
Again, with this, if you do not rely on a treatise by one of the great, valid, trailblazing founders that elucidates the Buddha's intentions, you will be like a blind person without a guide wandering off in a treacherous directions. So, if we were to study Heart Sutra directly, then it will be very difficult to understand the meaning taught in the Heart Sutra. So, in order to understand the meaning taught in the Heart Sutra, uh, we need to rely on the commentaries or those treatises, comments or elucidates the Buddha's intention. So we need to study those treatises by those great valid trailblazing founders, such as Protector Nagarjuna, together with his spiritual son, uh, Ayat, Ayadeva, Ayadeva, they elucidates the Buddha's intention. So the treatise proposed by Nagarjuna, such as the fundamental treatise on the middle way called wisdom.
오 됐지 내가 안다가 그 밑에 봐 그래서 잡았다 그러면 되지 네 어디 대시봐 담부 당대 인도 대한 시험으로 와 될라서 와 당대 인도 근데서 어디 된다 맞잖아 이게 된다 지 계속 말어 와 당연히 인도 대시봐라 대한 수로 있는데 수로 있대 이런 것도 되게 대한 코드 치봐라 대체는 뭐 되게 뭔데 와서 와 힘가 좀 뭐에 봐 되게 로지가 되고 다시 신다 좀 문제 눌러서 봐 그게 세계들이 다 두두게 자와시로서 그들이 때문에 거기 주고 해서 아 대대 자와시로 더버지 그 지발이야 이거 이렇게 보이야 아 이제 자와시로 더버지 대대 보도 지발아 대기배 야 와스나 미스나 거기 계시니스나 이끼라 마대마 야 보도 지도고 말해서 자와시로 그냥 와 자와시로데 연락에 코도 지발아 야 나기 계시니라 때문에 보도 지고 말 그 시골에 마도 이롱아 용기에 반 뭔가 양수도 와서 집어 차는 거 있어. 와. 이 차도가 도사 예배가 이게 땡고래 있어. 이 마디야 내가 계속 보도 주고 말와. 저한테. 아까 이 때문에 말이야. 도시 용고다.
So in order to understand the definitive meaning, we have to first understand what interpretable meaning is. Then after understand what definitive meaning is, then we need to rely on those sutras of the definitive meaning. Then in order to understand those meaning taught in those sutras of the definitive meaning, then we need to rely on treatises composed by those great valid trailblazers that elucidates the Buddha's intentions. Then, in order to understand the example of those great treatises, such as the fundamental treatise on the middle way called wisdom, right? And in order to understand such treatises, for example, such treatises as the fundamental treatise on the middle way called wisdom, then we need to rely on uh, commentaries on the fundamental treatise on the middle way called wisdom, or we need to rely on a teacher. We need to rely on spiritual friends who explain to us the meaning written in those treatises.
들리습니다. 다른도 도스마 림바치네 땡땡마 나도 되와 되와. 야 간다 비도 지마라 뜻이. 하게 받은 가서 이렇게 뭐 이게 공부하지나 마티바 또 말해서 다 올라마 김대신한테 그때 우리 했으나 아 그걸 때다가 가르치는 경우였으나 너무 그냥 나도 산지 좀 되게 많은 게 나서 와. 뭐 산지 좀 되게 배 간다. 뭐를 줄 마음 받았대. 한 부분을 비즈니스들이 간다 개발이 누구였으니 너무 나서 이렇게 와. 보시면 되지 되는 거 같아. 근데 지금 여덟 명 나이트는 별로 나이팅 somebody get to the project and was kind of check and get you that 와. 그래서 산지 좀 되게 가다 너무 되게 너무 나냐. 근데 이제 때문에 이거 연락이 딱 끊어졌다 다 했어. 우리 내가 서로 동만 대학 공부한 데와 너가 정말 막 스와 롱술 때에서는 공부를 못 되냐 했어. 이게 공부를 못 되면 봐 송사 근데 공부를 못 되는 뜻도 지시면 되게 라 때문에 해서 다 만화다 맞죠. 근데 이게 예스 때 된다 들어와. 자, 그 뜻이 뭐야? 공부를 대가서 말하는 거 공부를 누가 보내서 그래서 내가 선전의 힘을 우리 나한테 와 농된도 막 농된 나게 딱 먹으면 이 앞에 그러니까 너희들이 쉽게 위해서 공부를 이루다 뭐 통해라도 되니 그랬어 어쨌든 이때는 산지 이때 말을 하다 자기 제가 뛰어와다 이 우리 예수 농대야 어쨌든 이 이만 우리가 신앙 그 예수 부터 간 좋아 그리고 사서는 노스 잡아 이 이슈가 때문에 이슈가 때문에 또 동반 있다 왔어 그래서 소가
So therefore, you should rely on a commentary without errors. Who should you rely on? Rely on Aya Nagarjuna, rightly renowned on the three levels, whom the Blessed One himself prophesied very clearly in numerous sutras and tantras, as illustrating the essence of his teachings, found meaning free from all extremes of existence and non-existence, and to seek the view that realizes emptiness relying on his texts. So then we talk about then who should we rely on? So we should rely on Nagarjuna. So Ayya Nagarjuna is not any ordinary beings. He is a special being who was prophesied by the Blessed One or by Buddha himself that after certain how many after certain years of Buddha's passing to Parinirvana, then a special being will come to this world and spread and cause the Dharma to flourish. So Ayya Nagarjuna, together with Asanga, were prophesied by Buddha himself. So we must rely on those on their great text in order to understand the meaning of emptiness. And it says in the text that how meaning free from all extremes of existence and non-existence, we should seek the view that realizes emptiness, relying on his text. So we must develop the view realizing emptiness, relying on Ayya Nagarjuna's
많이 못 불러도 답이 올시보다 그게 뭔가 게 진짜 좋아하는 건다 우리 뭐만 이렇게 됐을 때 쉬고래 해 다들만 야 쉬고와 나다 뭐를 때문에 해서 한 가지 주자라 뭐를 이제 쉬고 때문에 해서 한 뭐를 이제 이제 쉬고 때문에 뭐를 쉬고 내가 신발라 내가 같이 때문에 내가 쉬도 그래 해서 약간 연장만 주셔 그리고 내 쉬고
So here he talks about we need to rely on Ayya Nagarjuna's right and the text or treatises composed by Ayya Nagarjuna. Then here it talks about since we need to rely on Ayya Nagarjuna's text or treatises, then on whom do we rely? Whom, sorry. Then again, in order to understand Ayya Nagarjuna's intentions for the treatises or the meaning of those treatises, then who should we rely on? So then here, this paragraph talks about other Indian great masters.
어디 수고를 간다. 과라는 법의 선지자다. 내빈이는 나왔다가 쉬와줘야지. 엄마가 질문하지. 법에 된다고 질문집이. 야신이가 엄마가 hin지 궁리해서. 내가 안다 디수고를 가서 엄마가 되라. 아, 용심이 엄마보다 같이 중간에 취사의 상승 되더라. 용심이 엄마보다 본집이 엄마보다 니래고. 용심이 엄마보다 총집이 엄마보다 니래고. 좋아. 아, 용심이 엄마보다 세워야 돼. 무슨 말씀? 한국 분들도 봐봐, 저도 용심을 오면 하시는 거.
Kobayashi's,
봐봐야지. 유리하시는 거라. 유리하지. 한국 분들도 봐봐, 너만이는 다 용심을 오면 하시. 근데 용심이 오면 봐서 넣어야 돼. 가르치시나. 된다고 보세요. 용심이 오면 봐서 와야 돼. 아, 그때. 뭐 안지와서 이 제바 안지바 중 때다 중 오마고 공부가 이거 내가 마셔 뭐라 오마비 중 이 오마고 중아 내가 님을 마셔 너뭐 빨리 와 어디시오디 아주 심이 오마바스네 난 공부를 봐봐라 속에 안지와래 내가 안지바에서 이 제바전에 숨어요 제바전에 숨어요 와 단단히 막 너희 막 단단히 막 띵띵 마시소 아 좋아 어디 송게 되라 아주 심이 오마바스 이거였어
Mm. Yeah. So since the great Madhyamikas such as the masters Buddha Palita, Bhava Viveka, Chandrakirti, and Chandrashita consider Ayateva to be as reliable as his master, both the father and his spiritual son are sources for the other Madhyamikas. So father referred to Ayanagajuna and his spiritual son referred to Ayateva. So when we talk about this Madhyamika, then previously probably when we were studying canons, then we talk about this as well. So Madhyamika of fundamental text and Madhyamika of uh,熊起嘛 umabatang熊都真被 umaba熊起嘛 umaba ang都真被 umaba. Yeah, sorry. So then we learn about this Madhyamika of fundamental text and Madhyamika Partisan Madhyamika. The second one is Partisan Madhyamika, and the first one is Madhyamika of fundamental text. So Madhyamika of fundamental text refer to the fathers and spiritual sons, which are Nagarjuna and Ayateva. So why Nagarjuna and Ayateva are called Madhyamika of fundamental text is because they do not differentiate Prasangika Madhyamika and Svatandika Madhyamika. Rather, they explain meaning, sorry, they explain the view of Madhyamika. They explain Madhyamika view in general. So because of this reason, Nagarjuna and Ayadeva are called Madhyamika of the fundamental text.
다디 순서 다디 이제라 간다 이게 고마 봤어요 다디 따라리고 그 선계장 나왔다가 미팅이와 이들이 힘줘야 세워서 저를 간다 촌지고 오마 봤어요 아 벌써 촌지고 오마 봤어요
안 집어라.
아
나와.
더 잘와 너 여도 매들이 촌지고 오마 지루와
맞아.
먼저 그때 근데 개그 말해서니 소지로 와
음.
촌지고 오마 봤으나 산지고 전다데 이나 또 이렇게 봐봐 네, 뭐지 댄스 비 체야 이거 말이 그런데 그게 몇 개나 더 발때 되게 아주 돈에 쓰나다 간다 빅톤 로고 그래서 이게 다 완전 진짜 그거 키레스나 저는 빅 말이 있으면 제발 그거 쉬고 근데 또 진짜나 또봐 그거 웃겨 와 이 시우디 나도 그거 보마 봐 빨리 딘지 나가러 와 딘지 그거 저러는데 또 쉬고 원래 딘지기나 빨리 딘지 그런 지기 따왔는데 그래 그래서 막 본인이 공부하려니 공부를 해보자. 원래 두드려서 공부. 두드려서 그 쇼, 자와시를 와. 자와시를 저도 와다를 저도 세요 와. 나도 저 공부만 되어디. 이거 두드려서 이게 예. 마 순간적으로 속을 된다데. 아 되게 된다데. 한지기 따와는 들이지. 한지가 들이지 고 그래서 아 되게 공부만 되다 막. 예. 뭐 하는 거야? 이스만도. 아 뜻만 이스만도 소소 공부할 때 어디 아 좋은지 뭐 아스는 거야.
And the second Madhyamika is called Partisan Madhyamikas, right? So Partisan Madhyamikas are those masters, Bhava Palita, Bhava Viveka, Chandrakirti, and Shantarashita. So they comment on Nagarjuna's and Ayadeva's intentions. So, for example, the fundamental treatise on the middle way called Wisdom, together with other six collections of reasonings. So Buddha Palita, Bhava Viveka, and etc. They commented on the intentions, and then to which then they explain the view of Patandika Madhyamika. And then how's it in their system? Then they say that one must realize something independence on autonomous reason, etc. So because of this, then they are called partisan Madhyamika. So they differentiate uh, uh, how's it the make the difference from the Nagarjuna's view. They differentiates the Nagarjuna's view into Svatantika Madhyamika.
그래도 그 생각 진짜 기타를 시작해서 시작하자 맞아 나와서 리딩이 있었대 나는 이거도 변경이 네 또만 치네 이게 되게 말해봐도 한번 해보려다 아와라 이까서 되게 아주 봐 단지 따와서 되게 그걸 쉬요 그래서 그때 그 내가 그때가 휴자로 와 이시다 다다데 내가 안 되려고 와 우리는 와 그때 내가 무슨 와
So when we learn about planets, then we also talk. When we learn about how the Prasangika Madhyamika, how Madhyamika schools arose, then we also learn about Nagarjuna do not differentiate or do not divide Madhyamika into Prasangika Madhyamika and Svatantika Madhyamika. It was later divided by his followers such as Buddha Palita, Bhava Viveka, Chandrakirti, and Sankarashita, and etc. Then into Prasangika Madhyamika and Svatantika Madhyamika.
되지. 내가 누구야 신이 내가 엄마 번호지 이게 주사가 또 쿠투사는 것들이 있으니까 그 순간 도와와 엄마 번호 듣거나 주사 이 아들이 쿠투사다 누구야 신이 좋은서 와 누구야 신이 좋은서 엄마 번호 그래 또 무슨 노자들이 있으면 누구와
오마랑 기봐.
엄마 번 건강
엄마 봐.
엄마 번 장사 쿠투사다 예수 그러와
So the origins of Madhyamika views are Aya Nagarjuna and also Ayativa.
어디 올라 뒤지려고 다 간다 아니 조들라 간다 니 따서 뛰어와 아니 조지군 다 간다 니 따서지 니 따바들 한가럽이 뛰니 간다 아니 조지군 니 따도 우마바니 그래서 우마바 나라바 스페시고도 한가럽어서 나도 우마 병하라버지 뛰고와 어디 두기 다 단에도 싫어 여봐 여봐라 어디 집었다 단에도 싫어 매번 여봐라 한난도 집 우마바세 이 가서 일해는 예수와
아니 교수 이거
아니 조직을 계시고도 가서 우마바라 어디도 우마바라 요심히 우마바세 미다다 찔려서 아 단단히야 단에도 본 우리 조직원이야 우마바라 미다다 일해 와
So when we talk about Madhyamikas can be divided into two, right? So Madhyamikas of the original text or Madhyamikas of the fundamental text, and the others as partisan Madhyamikas. So this is one way to divide Madhyamikas. And another way to divide Madhyamikas is from the point of view of seeding conventionalities. As it says in the text, some spiritual teachers of earlier generations say that there are two kinds of Madhyamikas, named from the point of view of how they perceive conventionalities. Sautrantika Madhyamikas, who assert that external objects conventionally exist, and Yogacara Madhyamikas, who assert that conventionally external objects do not exist.
어디 가나 단위지 조직을 다 미다가 우마바니 시오디 나 단위도 싫어요 반대반 어디 집 우마바스 다 같이 준다는 시사를 어디 집 우마바데 안당 가서 리딩지라고 봐 이봐 같이 준다는 시사로 와 단위 들어와 나는 조직이 단위도 싫어요 반대에 다 어디 집 우마바데 가서 리딩지라서 와 리딩지라서 뭐 같이 준다는 시사로 와 리딩지 어디에 예 단위도 싫어요 반대에 어디 집 우마바니 신와서 와 그래서 어디서 그래서 간이 도서 때때 저한테 이거 제가 하는 거 같은 그거 와
Yeah, so when we learn about planets, then we know the two divisions of Svatantika Madhyamikas. So one is called Sautrantika Madhyamikas, another one is called Yogacara Madhyamikas. So Sautrantika Madhyamikas, such as Bhava Viveka, assert external objects conventionally exist, and Yogacara Madhyamikas, such as Chandrarashita, they assert that external objects do not exist conventionally.
어디 나도 오늘 나도 야 단단 대치고는 미다와 니래보다야 오면 좋아 단단 대치고는 미다와 니래보다 좋아 단단 대치고는 미다와들야 이걸로 취지 이게다 이게 나와 초바 된다 되면 돼봐다 이거를 봤어 나와라 째봐 나마 집이 오지 된다 되면 돼봐라 따라도 니 봐시 이미 데니 미다의 니레가 됐어. 다 데니 미니의 간다. 나만의 로비 시완서리 나가시라서 봐. 나 주말에 내가 주말에도 주말에 아니 그치 같이 되니까 단조. 내가 단조하다 잡고 와.
Chima ngamati itu baru. Mari itu ba.
또 누가 들어와. 누가 들어와서 뒤에 들어와. 시완 까만하시. 아, 누가 뭐라도 뭐니 봐 다니데. 제가 같이 좀 해서 때 내가 이거 어떻게 거기 연결을 잡는다 되지.
So there are also two names applied from the point of view of how the ultimate is asserted. Again, mathematicas can be divided into two, from the point of view of how the ultimate is asserted. The first one is proponents of illusion established by reasoning. So another way of saying this is proponents of reasoning established illusions. So these proponents are those who assert ultimate truth to be the composite of the appearance of a subject, such as a sprout, and its lack of true existence. And opponents of parallel non-abiding are those who assert ultimate truth to be a complete elimination, is appearances mere eliminations of the elaborations. So the first of these were asserted to be masters such as Chandrashita and Kamalashila. So these Chandrashita and Kamalashilas are masters of proponents of illusion established by reasoning. And then the second division, opponents of thorough non-abidings are those Tsongkhapa mathematicals.
뭐 되지? 다 간다 누구라서 봐 주진 나와라 와. 아 누구라서 봐 주진 나와라. 다 간다 이렇게 봐. 까 나와다. 정말 이거 나와 정말. 이 저디 주마다고 되게 하다 간다 되겠어. 아 시와서 와. 아 시완다. 정말 하시라. 그래서 예스. 이게 주진 나와라 이게 화비 나와. 정말이죠. 나와. 정말이죠. 정말이죠. 주마다고 되게. 와. 주마다고 생각한다. 이거 말해. 저기 비해서 Really department of what to me. No one actually no man is over what. Oh, I think Jumata was doing the Chitanji, Jumata was doing it. Kanda, how much? What? How much they get it? And she wanted that. Yes. Very unusual. What?
What about the one now? What is all right?
What?
And the what now? What is only the Shibi? The Shibi?
What? 와, 나와다 콤바니 소바데 이모도 되게 이모도 나게 만들게 나도다 비시완서다 까말라 히라 yes.
So proponents of illusions established by reasoning are those who assert ultimate truth to be the composite of the appearance of a subject such as a sprout and its lack of true existence, right? So subject appears to be truly existence, such as a sprout. It appears to be truly existence. So when such is refuted by reasoning, that when such appearance of true existence is refuted by reasoning, then it is the emptiness. So it appears as truly existence, but it is empty of true existence. So this appearance and emptiness are like illusions. So illusions, it appears to be the object, but it's not the object, right? So this is what it means by the composite of the appearance of a subject, such as a sprout, and its lack of true existence. A sprout appears to be truly existent, is a lack of true existence. It is such true existence is refuted by reasonings. So the composite of these two are asserted to be the ultimate truth by opponents of illusions established by reasoning, such as Chandrashita and Kamalashila.
나도 그래도 문이 받으러 나도 문이 봐 누나다가 되게 되지 나간다데 그리고 심하더와
나와라 그러면
나도 문이 받대 간다 나와 너 덴버 까도 지내가 그들은 이거 나와라 그거 까도 지내가 내가 되는 거 와, 나와라 덴버 니 소가 뭐 그거지 No one can do a part of him. Never that they want never did. And yes, wow, because like that, we will.
And proponents of thorough non-abiding are those who assert ultimate truth to be a complete elimination, that is, appearances mere eliminations of the elaborations. So, to put it in to put it in another way of saying this is non-affirming negations is mere refutations of true existent appearance. How's it? Yeah. So yeah. So to put it another way of saying this is the non-affirming negations, which is the mere refutations of a truly existent appearance. Appearance as truly existent. Yeah. The mere refutations of appearance as fully existent. So such non-affirming negations is is the ultimate truth, asserted by proponents of thorough non-abiding.
That in the Ganda Ginanja, in those Ganda Kone, in the Sumi Gade, and the moment was such in Nasha, that those are loaded here. Those are loaded here. They can like Pinis Shabadera, Bangara, Japanese Shade, they don't let the Linis Shade, Takana, was such in Nasha Yamato, what such in Nasha is. Nana, Yana pe Kebana 2GB Nasha di Marisi already. Maris, no de Hiltis over Keba Tamanaji, GB Nasha di Maris, Moma Sechiba, yes. Yes, or the lots of somebody, get what you think the level of Kevin Rusin, that this one, get what you want. Get what you know the kid is somebody never, Shas, and Moma was such a years because the two good one. But yeah, not that Moma was not Nasha di Kebana 2GB Maris. This one, what Jeremy did, somebody never the Keba was it, just what.
The great translator Lawrence Sharp says, proceeding these as two groups from the point of view of how they assert the ultimate is a presentation that only impresses idiots. So, yeah. So those earlier scholars, they perceive these two groups from the point of view of how they assert ultimate is a presentation that only impresses idiots. In fact, this is not a presentation that will uh, please those great scholars or the learned ones. So, and then the great translator Lawrence Sharp says that this presentation is just an presentation that only impresses idiots. And then in how's it the great Lam Rim text, then you can see that Kirumuchi says that what said by the great translator Lawrence Sharp is excellent.
That another technology when it is needs shower the top and not up on the city. You got a ship with the air, not get Edwa. You're not Tony Kanda. The is in the day, and not up in the city. Although they should be Mare. Not Umapala. Channel Umapala Shiguna. Ah, more Dupada. Not anybody chill your ears. They chill yes. King Chane. You don't know about that. You put the Shima. Don't you? Don't Umapata. More Dupada. 그것도 뭐니고 뭐 많이 시그리 진짜로 그 시그리 해서 그냥 또 봐다 정말 또 봐다 그것도 뭐니 봐 진짜로 내가 시그리 해서 그것도 남게 그 시골에 그 시그리나 이 시와도 기름 뭐지 그 알아봐 좀 잡아도 해 봐도 또 되게 그 봐도 이건 무엇에 저 친구도 계속해 와 뭐다 당당히 돼서 당당히 약간 돼서 시골에 이 시와데 제가 무엇을 다 가다 와
오늘 대니 요래 대리 상담 보내 대니 예와줘 말이.
어디 와. 연락을 될수 있도록 다 주말을 받아. 나도 문제 봐 시와대. 내가 기본하게 이제를 말에 못 사치와 제대로 돼. 이거에서 다 말해 이제 뭐다.
남기 고네 예와대로.
제바대고. 연락을 제바대. 연락 될수 제바대. 네. 너도 기름이 다들 말해 해서 다들 이런 것 때문에 말해 해서 이 대화를 해 무슨 와. 지 전에 엄마 봐라. 주말을 주보다 너도 뭐냐 많이 열을 딱 했어. 지워시.
So to understand this sentence, the great translator Lawrence Sherrod says, proceeding these two as two groups from the point of view of how they assert the ultimate is a presentation that only impresses idiots. So this assertions or this saying by great translator Lawrence Sherrod, we have to understand the meaning. So in general, Madhyamikas is divided into two: the proponents of illusions established by reasoning and proponents of thorough non-abiding. It is okay, or it is correct. It is okay to be divided into these two groups in general context. However, if you were to uh, divide Madhyamika into these two groups from the point of view of how they assert the ultimate, then it will become a presentation that only impresses idiots. So we have to understand the difference between these two. In general context, two divisions into these proponents of illusion established by reasoning and proponents of thorough non-abiding is okay. So, however, if you were to proceed the divisions of Madhyamika into these two groups from the point of view of how they assert the ultimate, then it becomes the presentation that only impresses idiots.
我在的这前面来说的，嘛里头把它，是吧？那都没人把的，我们把它这前点的写过来，他点的那对写的给送把那些，但是对吧？最开那个是那这里这个我们别我，嘛里头把它，他们都没人把你，我们把它这前的点的原来是，就嘛里头把写完的，是吧？看的嘛里头把写完的，那里头把，是吧？那就把它啊。 님바데라도 뭐냐바데 뭐 한조와레스 니 예수 수익로바레스나 왜 보기 왜 보기 나 장주 공비 이게 좀 묻힌 되면서 나 쇼기로와 이런 소리 예수 나도 왜 보기 손좀 되게 좋아 왜 보기 다 기가 좀 되와 그러니까 되게 왜 보기 진짜 뭐 하나 뭔가 이걸 보다 너무 니 손자리 예수한테 뭐 머리 그거데 하지 바레스 니바데 아버님도 오마 탄주와레스 송그르스나 왜 보고 왜 보고 숨바데 내가 길이 좀 스가지는 비슷한 레세고 와 어디
Yeah, so the general way or to divide Madhyamika into these two proponents of illusions established by reasoning and proponents of thorough non-abiding in a general context is tenable or is correct. So, as said by great translator Lawrence Sherrod, also as said by great translator Lawrence Sherrod. So, in fact, who said this? It is okay to divide Madhyamika into the proponents of illusions established by reasoning and also proponents of thorough non-abiding. Who actually divided Madhyamika into these two? It was divided by Ayasura. So it was divided by Ayasura into these two groups. Proponents of illusions established by reasoning, which is also called which is also called Svatantika Madhyamika. And the second division, proponents of thorough non-abiding, which is also called Sanghika Madhyamika. So it is said by Master Ayashua, and J. Rinpoche said that it was well said. And it's correct to say that way.
Oh yes. Also the gentleman that I think him just order. I got really dangerous about that. So they give a number of Umaba. We soon surely. 那也不是以前的非常把那个的话，老百姓的，我们给那个的话，我们给这个不，你这个那就是我们给心里说，我们给体系的嘛，这个的嘛去是吧？
新的说一些点做了，当 danger 的点做了。
天津的包，我们给天津的包，有的这个那就是被我们给就是说的主力的，老百姓嘛，你们这个我是要给是吧？
And then with regard to this, Master Yeshide explained. So here it talks about the founder of Madhyamika and also the treaty and Madhyamika treatises.
那老百姓的刚才爸爸也是国民经济，没把他刚才是的，有的没10万左右，马来是他的，老百姓的说的，他的刚才是有的没10万左右，马来是， 내가 가서 수있어 이제 말이잖아. 뭐가 나는 소식가 너무 레디지 가다. 이게 와 가지고 힘 쏘지 말아. 쏘지 말아. 아니 쉬워 저기 눈도 엄마가 저기 시대 내가. 아, 그게 쉬워 들어와. 근데 내지 뭐 가지고 시대 쏘지. 너무 쉬워 들어와. 어디? 하더니 치봐. 이게 마치 요래서 나 보면 시대가 그만 데려와. 그냥 데려. 그러다 봐봐야 시기 단두두라. 봐봐야 시기 맞다. 우리 겐지를 이거 되는 요 내서 세와 제요 말이야. 예수. 왜요 말이야. 그 세와만 제게를 쓰르시나. 보면 이게 되게 간다. 빨리 근데 쉬어 되는 좀 캔랭게 들어와. 캔랭게 캔랭게 되는 거 밖에 못 들어와. 나 너무 쉬워도 쉬어 되는 좀 캔랭고요. 내 집에 신선제와 그걸 이제 그게 신선제와 그게 뭐 비교를 어디 로비 좋아도데 지금 뭐 신선제 같은 시대에 봐 근데 제발만 제게서나 되는 예스네 로비 시대 계속 말해서
So with regard to this, Master Yeshides explains, the Madhyamika treatises by the noble father Nagarjuna and his spiritual son Deva do not clarify whether external objects exist or not. After them, Master Bhavaviveka refuted the system of consciousness only. Also. In other words, it's mind only school, and established a system in which external objects conventionally exist. So Master Baba Viveka is the founder of Sautrantika Svadantika Madhyamika. So then Master Baba Viveka asserts that external objects exist conventionally. So he established a system. So the system is called Sautrantika Svadantika Madhyamika, in which external objects conventionally exist. Then Master Chandrashita. So Master Chandrashita is the founder of Yogacara Spadadika Madhyamika. So the Master Chandrashita make a different Madhyamika system based on Yogacara scriptures. So Yogacara scriptures and taught that external objects do not conventionally exist and that ultimately the mind is without inherent existence. So Yogacara Svadantika Madhyamikas, they do not assert that external objects exist conventionally. And Master Baba Viveka, the founder of Sautrantika Svadantika Madhyamika, they do assert external objects exist conventionally. So because of such assertions, then Svadantika Madhyamika is divided into these two groups.
그래서 이제 뭐지 대화로 레슨을 그거한테 좋아 로벨이 이제 너무 로벨이 이제 너는 신경 써서 다니는데 지금 여기 요샤와가 왜 쇼한 속에 내리 집에 쇼나한테 와 내리 집에 쇼나한테 다시 다니는 싫어해 봐 대바데 대바데 간다데 간다가만 우리 지금 뭐 심마 왠지 엄마 봐 제타바리 따바데 제체바데 뜻인지 좀 써와지 너무 너무 설계를 못 나가는 무슨 도와 이제 우리 법의 힘이 제발 제발 잘 나가는 줄 아세요 뭐
Whereby two kinds of madhyamikas emerge. The former were called Sautrantika madhyamikas. So Sautrantika madhyamikas, another way of calling this is Sautrantika Svadantika madhyamikas, and then later Yogacara madhyamikas. So another way of calling this is Yogacara Svadantika madhyamikas. And this chronology of elucidation through great treatises is correct. So here Rinpoche said that the chronology of elucidation through great treatises said by Master Yeshe or explained by Master Yeshe Te is correct.
어디서 우도와 어디지로 가싱하고 전화들하고 맞아 중간을 내기다 배시와도 너들이 오마라니 봐 너들이 오마라니 봐니 너 대도 그거 오마라니 봐디 간다 그때 클릭이라니 문제기들이 왠지 오마라니 봐데 좋아 왠지 오마라니 봐데 액션을 해봐 아니 클릭이 들어와 이렇게 이제 스탠다드 시절에 때 대화로 맞아 저 양세에서 그 보다 그렇게 들어와 지금 이제 나는 거야 레오도와 뭐 이제
Dedinche na te rani kelengyo marwa.
클릭을 말아 그때 클릭이라니 캠을 들어와 내리 집 오마라니 봐데 간다 시대에 봐 클릭이라니 들어와
Yeah, so previously when we learned about Madhyamikas, then we learned that uh, uh, proponents of Sautrantikas, Padantika Madhyamikas, such as Bhava Viveka, they assert external objects, but they do not assert self-knower. And uh, Yogacaras Padantika Madhyamikas, such as Chandrashika, they assert self-knower, but they do not assert external objects. So previously in the Tenet class, we learned about this. So here, now it talks again from this, when we learn about that Bhava Viveka do not assert self-knower, do assert external objects, and Chandrashita, for example, they do not assert external objects, but they do assert self-knowers. Then from this, how say they increase our understanding about the assertions of Madhyamikas.
다들 원하는 거지. 다들 된다 좀 마. 다들 이제 강다 들만 잡아 들만 쳐 보러 다 로비 다와 잡아야. 가게 되다. 잘 모르겠어. 다와 잡아 시내키를 물어봐. 다와 잡아 시내키를 물어야 되나? 시내키에게 자기 오늘 그 노디기 뭐마 봐서 그 수내로 와. 어디 로비 다와 잡아 되게 시내키를 물어야 돼. 이나 노디기 뭐마 봤을 때 빌라로 모여서 빌라로 뭐마 해서 그때 시내키에서 이제 나와 다 그랬어. 와. 어디 나왔다고 가서 단주하러 와. 단주와. 어디 나왔다고. 나는 너도 집 봤어야 뭐 그 어디 봐라 와. 어디 봐야 돼. 와. 어디 봐야 돼. 나 시대는 대단한 거 로가 차야 돼. 와. 그러니까 어디 봐 시대. 어디 집 보고 어디 봐 시대. 걔네 봐. 근데 먼저 어디 나왔다고. 어디 나왔다고 그 시대 걔네에서 와대. 같이 집에서 나도 이제 보고 그래. 그러니까 하기 진기 좀 어디 봐. 딜러 투네 간다 시대. 어디 뭐래 오펜더 투자들이 시대 켈리야 간주가 시대 켈리에서 가도 뭐 비니츠가 배 이거 그 간이나 배 이거 그거는 원이 유치도 저기 뭐는 영이자 이거 누가 되서도 이거 공부다 수 매도라서 봐 실제로 대가는 둘이었어 이거 원이 대가는 둘이었어 대가는 열었어 오다 들리다지 서봐 뒤도 거디 거래 좋아 간주가 나왔다고 시대 켈링 그래서 단다 공도 도대체 보고 말하지고 소시대 켈링이 되게 말와 그것은 주다 주지 마 대처리 봐 그냥 소리 이거 와 그다 수지 마 제게도 받아 제 타디도 봐서 같이 주다가래 기가 와 그래서 와 어디서다 대신에 켈링에서 예 같이하고 너무요 말 나단다데 배 다다 그 시대 켈링 그래 나도 도대체 봐서 비타로 말했을 때가 나시 내가 와 그래서 너무 와 따로 말해서 니
Dodi chupe uma rangyu bai na di churu ki pena chechana pomba ina di ngoni di dubi wais.
간주 어디 나왔다 봐. 조금 간주.
Churu ki pomba ina di dubi wais.
뭔가 싫어 보는 그봐. 내도다 신화가 있어 싫어 보는 그봐. 그 대가로는 시문에 열에서 간다. 시문에 내가 열에서 저 두가서 지팅이 가면 미리 원하다 뒤밖에 시고 간다. 간주가 그다음 어디 먼저 지팅이 원하다 뒤밖에 시는 게 오르와. 내가서 지팅이 원하다 뒤봐. 내가서 신화라고 지도 신화는 지우래서 그런 건 지우래서 와. 매도 그런 건 지우래서 지롱으로 와. 기대다 뒤봐. 기대기 타 아니다 뒤봐라고 시고 다 가면 단주와.
Ini di chidun dudang ina di loa rwa. Di dawa tawa ina. Ini di dudang ina di sudang sudi tsima zishin du dubi tongba di rwa. Dodi chubi uma rwa.
또 처음으로 아니 봐 시대에서 와대. 그때와 제 편도 두 번째 앞길이 걸어봐. 여자 딕시고.
Zishin du dubi tongba.
어제도 두 번.
Zishin du ba.
그거 어제도 시대길에 제게 두 번. 와. 이게 두 번. 와.
Mm.
어디? 나 나왔다 봐 길에서 배가 와래서.
Loa sa di ni dawa tawa ina di pomba ina medo ina di chiru la ryo res.
뭐 저런 거는 이게 나 봐. 이게 원하는 봐. 지금은 지금 열었고.
chiru ryo res.
지금이 그랬어. 지나라. 지나는 신경도 지나라. 지나는 지그레스. 근데 네가 그 말에 이게 걔네가 된다. 나도 와 있어. 하고. 근데 스케일에서 이거 이발라. 치료했다. 봐라. 연락하고 가자. 그래서 이 연락 가서다 어디 지금 이게 걔네가 나와다 봐. 그건 어디 집 와서 다니 잘 오고 말해서 이 아니 딱 지금 말해서
However, although Master Chandrakirti asserts that external objects conventionally exist, it is inappropriate to call him a Sautrantika because he does not conform to other proponents of the tenet system. So, as we mentioned just now, Sautrantika, Svatantika, Madhyamika, such as Bhava Viveka, they assert external objects, but they do not assert self-knowers, right? And Master Chandrakirti. So Master Chandrakirti is a Prasangika. So he asserts external objects conventionally exist. So however, it is inappropriate to call him Sautrantika, Svatantika, Madhyamika because their way of asserting, their way referring Chandrakirti's way of asserting external objects and Sautrantika, Svatantika, Madhyamika's ways of asserting external objects are different. So even though they both of them assert external objects conventionally exist, but their way of asserting that external objects conventionally exist are different. So for Sautrantikas, Atlantika, Madhyamikas, their way of asserting that there is external objects is um, form and the valid cognizer apprehending the form are established as different substantial entity. So for Sautrantika, Svatantika, Madhyamika, we assert that a form and the valid cognizer apprehending form are established as different substantial entity. So this is Sautrantika, Svatantika, Madhyamika's ways of asserting that external objects exist. And however, Chandrakirti's way of asserting external object exists is external objects such as pots, such as flowers, such as trees in the forest, and etc. exist. Their way of asserting, Master Chandrakirti's way of asserting existence of external objects uh, are in accordance with the work, according to the sorry, yeah, are in accordance with the view with the worldly views, with the worldly beings, sorry, in accordance with the worldly beings.
어디서로 다들 그러다 다 제대로마다 기도 되고야 머리지 그다음마다 저배 그다 이렇게 해보라 지금 들어와 이거가 제대로마다 또 팀버스나 야 뒤에라 뒤에 말해서 다 가다와 더 간다.
So to assert that he accords with the Vaibhashikas is also incorrect. So even though Vaibhashikas also assert external objects, but their way of their assertions is different from that of Master Chandrakirti's.
다들 이제 나가서 그래다 다 시대 가랑 다니시들 다 땜바 시다 당하다서 들이지 제바지 세고요. 당가 저 이제 왜 나오도 지금 시험이 다 됐었지 대방마다 시다서 들이지 바다 여기도 뭐 아까다 땜바 시다서 왔다 제서 가서 대방마다 이에서 람다마 땜바 누르시 뭐라 한다. 람다마 땜바 뚜디 제르베 비르 뭐지 선디 땜바 다마도 제리아 땜바 신이 그래서 단다 하고 좋아서 진짜에서 나도 못해도 좀 제리아 땜바 내가 때로와
需要错的。
시와서 네. 네, 제로와 까마나 시라서 나도 쓸때 야 근데야 땜바디야 배우니까 땜바 시다가 뒤가 서도와 그다와 대불라 까마마 땜바 타오리 대불라 까마 땜바 누와 땜바 누가서 대불라 까마 땜바 들가고도와 뭐 되는지 시다가 다 가나 우리다다 다고 미다다 기지 시고라 다고 봐라 좋아잖아 지바로와 그러나 지바 이 아니 시대 진짜가 이외에 진짜 다다 한번에 더 왔다 왔어 좋아 좋아 진짜 어디다 말 에스다디 대화를 했어 좋아 아니들 싫어 이번에 대변인에서 대화 이번에 했어 나 이 부시다 와 아니 그 싫어 이 하고 하고 어디 보면 능지 보면 안 되거든 아니 싫어 되는 게 니 식으로 와 이게 내가 이래서 와 어떻게 못 드시나
So the scholars of the later propagations of teachings in the land of snowy mountains created two destinations for Madhyamikas, Svatantika and Sangika. This accords with Chandrakirti's clear words. Therefore, the Madhyamikas are specified as two types, those who conventionally exert external offense and those who do not. So during this late, also when we talk about the history of Dharma propagated in Tibet, so there is divided into two phases. One is the
earlier propagations of the teachings or earlier determinations of teachings, and another one is later propagations or disseminations of teachings. So then during the first, so the Buddha Dharma was propagated in Tibet so there are two phases when Buddha Dharma are propagated in Tibet, and then during the earlier propagations of the teachings, then there was a king called Lam then who did not like Buddha Dharma, and then he caused the Buddha Dharma to degenerate. So that ends the earlier propagations. Then again, the Buddha Dharma flourished in Tibet. Then it was propagated by Kamalashila, Kandarashitas, and etc. And then those period of time is called later propagations of teachings in Tibet. So and then during the later propagations, then the two designations for Madhyamikas are called Svatantika and Prasangika. So Svatantika Madhyamika and Prasangika Madhyamika. So this accords with Chandrakirti's clear words. Therefore, the Madhyamikas are specified as two types: those who conventionally exert external effects, referring to the Svatantika Madhyamikas, and those who do not.
that only if you thought you just going to mean Dobaya, I do not even starting when you were
Tanya to Chiludi to Nina de to the Chubumara.
what you
Any day, they Matuva, and then you Chubumara. And those who, and those who do not, then refer to Yogacharas Madhyamika. So therefore, Madhyamikas are specified as two types. Here, Madhyamikas refer to Svatantika Madhyamikas. Svatantika Madhyamikas then specified as two types: those who conventionally assert external objects, and this one referred to those Sautrantika Svatantika Madhyamikas, and those who do not assert external objects exist conventionally are those Yogacara Svatantika Madhyamika.
What is it? Only if you thought you just going to ship a mean Dobina. What you want to talk about the rest was the rest. I want to be paid. Only if you thought that and you had to tower. Only thought that Chiba should do Sarwa. She was doing this. Get on your hungry city. Maduba. On that day, they attack on the what you talk when you're the Hindu say you are.
Can you see Maduba?
It's in Maduba. The Tangan in Maduba to the Tawadi. 나중에 내가 다 기타를 치니까 그래도 그냥 딱 멤버들이 뭐지 기타를 치고 와. 그리고 어디 미리 치고 멤버들이 또 기타 간다. 아주하게 런디버를 간다 멤버들 봐. 다시 간다 뒤에 공부를 또에 다 키워로 맞아. 그런데 진짜 좀 키레비 때다. 여기 진짜 좀 키레비 때도 멤버들이 또 와서 엄마가 안다. 와, 기본적으로 다시 이거 말. 여기 진지도 키레 비엔도 와. 그다음에 여기 진지도 키레 비엔도 한다. 이거 봐.
아와데 큐라기야.
아와데 지금 오마바데 와, 단지 말하래. 이게 단지와요. 또 오마바도 니시 오마바 니시. 오니니스 그 니시스 라인 봐. 어디래?
When the names are applied from the point of view of how the view that ascertains emptiness is generated within the mind stream, we are also specified as two types, Sangika and Svatantika. So, Prasangika are those who assert that view that ascertains emptiness is generated within the mind stream, by realizing that phenomena do not exist by way of its own character. Prasangikas, Prasangika assert that view that ascertained emptiness is generated within the mind stream by realizing phenomena do not establish by way of its own character. So this is Prasangika's assertions on how the views that ascertains emptiness is generated within the mind stream. And Svadantika Madhyamika's ways of asserting that view that ascertains emptiness is generated within the mind stream is by realizing that phenomena are non-truly existent on the basis of asserting that phenomena are established by way of its own character. Meaning, Svadantika Madhyamika, they do assert phenomena as established by way of its own character. However, they do not assert that phenomena are truly existent. So, Svadantika Madhyamikas assert the view that ascertained emptiness is generated within the mind stream by realizing that phenomena are non-truly existent on the basis of the assertions, which is phenomena are published by way of its own character. So because from this point of view, then Madhyamika is divided into Prasangika Madhyamika and Svadantika Madhyamika. Prasangika Madhyamika assert that phenomena do not establish by way of its own character. Svadantika Madhyamika assert that phenomena do establish by way of its own character, but is non-truly existent.
That is the level. That open congregation now, that is much level. That is the level of congregation now. That kadam kuma. But the doubt of congregation now, the watching, watching kuma the speaker is wa, which when the daughter yes, that is much share wa.
Then yet, who did those masters follow to seek the intentions of the noble father and the spiritual son? The past gurus of these instructions held this system as the main one by following the great elder Atisha, who made Master Chandrakirti's system the main Madhyamika system.
That lobby congregation, that Papa Yasiki, Bumba Twan, Papa Yasiki, Bumba the Sugana, lobby congregation over the Yasi, and that George will kind of daughter, somebody for the daughter, George will put daughter will so on the Randy, come up much money, the two ones over the Yasi, so that Jerry Buchita and the Damatic and that what the two days, George, the daughter will so on the yes, don't worry. Tangan dia, kamu rumah, dimana itu aja pada estar, nanti video dua, yes semua, pada dua ada begitu tu. Itu dua je kalau dia sudah esok dua.
Yeah. So, who did those masters follow to seek the intentions of the noble father and those the intentions of the noble father and his spiritual son? The past gurus of these instructions held to this system as the main one by following the great elder Atisha, and then who made Master Chandrakirti's system the main Madhyamika system, and so does the Lama Tsongkhapa, who also made Master Chandrakirti's system the main Madhyamika system. Lama Tsongkhapa ina yang tawa lula de zo de zio ro.
Jerry Buchi, that sounds like the daughter when you do it. Jerry Buchi is Jerry Buchi Kanda, all Malay with that hobby. The Jerry Buchi, that's really Kanda. The daughter of this one, she would tell you, Jerry Buchi, that Kanda is Jerry Buchi, Jerry Sanji, the daughter when you do it, that is what.
George na de dawa jibo. De Lama Tsongkhapa na de dawa chaba dang sangi kyang yiga. Sorry, I need to correct myself. So, great elder Atisha made Master Chandrakirti's system the main Madhyamika system, and Master Chandrakirti saw that among and Lama Tsongkhapa. So Lama Atisha made Master Chandrakirti's system the main one, and Lama Tsongkhapa made Chandrakirti's system and Buddha Palita's system the main Madhyamika system.
How can the lobby daughter about it? Daughter that's a huge woman, you know, the strategies in the Western. Daughter about the lobby Sandy Changi, you might have the daughter. Lobby Sanjay, what do you do? Shower it. That's all Shannon. Lady, if you make him watching on the yes, daughter, daughter, you think you do Mamuti, you don't know this. Museum, 근데 이제 마지막 수파 원이 그래야 그래 누가 여봐 이제 뭐 그런 거 예스 그게 좋아.
So Master Chanakiti saw that among the commentators on fundamental treatises on the middle way, Buddha Palita had completely elucidated the Noble One's intentions. He elucidated the Noble One's intentions, basing himself on Buddha Palita's systems. He also took many good explanations from Master Bhava Viveka, refuting those that seemed slightly incorrect.
어디 좋아. 다가는 뒤로는 또 로비 상지저 다와터 보니 빼. 간다 빼 가서 공부마 공부를 간다 쇼도 막 공부는 비다 또막 이게 빼도 봐봐지 되게 레스 너무 ada hobe sanjja da dawata bani ruwa da shuma jire da hobe sanjja dawata bani gisgan da hoba yasi buba sama ila panke da hoba yasi buba ngulu da hoba lagi da hingu pe ten nimbo de ma tin la po da to da ma de da sanjja jang da dawata bani da dini bu shuma jire ndu se da da jir mu chi da dini gisdan nis ko ya ke su yo ke su ruwa.
So since the commentaries by Buddha Palita and Chanakiti are seen to be very outstanding with regard to explaining the text of the noble father Nagarjuna and his spiritual son Ayadevas, their intentions will be determined here following in the footsteps of the former two masters. So Lama Tsongkhapa follow the former two masters, so referring to Buddha Palita and Chanakiti, who explain the intentions in the commentaries composed by Ayajuna and also Ayadeva.
nimba ga bile go ta nimba ga to tawa tin la besela da kan da so le nemu chi mari ba ngue so da tin khoi zawa tin ba dang ji de pon di dang ne tawa zewa da de se je le bi de so do.
So how to determine the view in particular? This has 3 points: identifying afflicted ignorance, demonstrating that it is the root of revolving in secular existence, and the need to seek the view of selflessness if you wish to eliminate the apprehension of the self.
da di de la de ga de kan da wa tawa tin la be ba la kan da tawa de tin la ba wi kan da tawa de ya bi ba bu shi ba la mo tawa de ma ta de ne su wa so to man di tawa de la ko ba la to man di de de so la di ga da ka ru ni su re ni su re de ne mu di ma ri ba sa de ko i tawa ji ma ri ba da mu zo ne su wa o zo ne su ba ne so ga sha sha de wa ko i tawa ji ma ri ba so da ga sha sha de ma ri ba so wa ni ji ma ri ba so o di so da tawa de la ba la da ki ma la di ni di ma ri ba so re de ko i tawa is danji de point one di de damage tawa de is damage tawa de se ala ba chi de sa damage de point di chi de so da zu ne su de so da damage.
So from these outlines, it says that the first one is identifying afflicted ignorance. So in order to realize the profound meaning of emptiness, we first need to understand or identify the object of negations of the view. Then it is afflicted ignorance. So afflicted ignorance is the object of negations of the view. In order to realize the profound meaning of emptiness, we need to first identify afflicted ignorance. So, and this afflicted ignorance is the root of revolving in secular existence. So, which is the second outline, demonstrating that it referred to the afflicted ignorance is the root of revolving or circling in secular existence, and the need to seek the view of selflessness if we wish to eliminate the apprehensions of the self. So, why do we need to seek the view of selflessness in order to eliminate the apprehensions of the self?
我的是，他可能等于就送到在上级上的，他说他说他说年末，送到他修了一年末的也是，他说那里结果的话，修了一年末，哪里年末是把的，他说那年末他那个年末，那是他的话，哪里年末的他那我哪里的，他这一系列是，哪里年末就送的，你看他，他那个年末送把人怎么干的，你我知道吧。马里边年过去，对不对？你们有知道的，你说马来西亚， 맞어. 나
말이
차서
도시죠. 말이.
머리박이
아,
머리박이 내모 들어와.
음,
또 머리박이 가다. 뭐 된지 머리박 되게 내모를 쏘는데 또 내모 요소 봐. 내모를 쏘봐. 해서 들어와.
너무
네,
큰게
내모 탄비 내모.
뭐라.
뭐 내모. 내모 고치고. 내모 고치고 그래서 머리박 내모 때문에 뭐 요소도 봐. 내모 때문에 내모 때문에. 다가 그 차서라서 저기 된 내모 쏘아기라. 왠지도 더 받아 내모 쏘봐. 머리박 내모 도 그거 말이었어. 그거 말이었어. 그거 좋아.
Among the antidotes taught by the victor, those countering the mental afflictions of attachment and the like are partial antidotes, whereas the antidote to ignorance, he taught, is an antidote to all of them. Therefore, ignorance is the basis of all errors and faults. So, um, yeah, so those countering the mental afflictions of attachment, referring to those antidotes. So, antidotes to mental afflictions such as attachments and the like are partial antidotes. So, partial antidotes, as in, it cannot become the antidotes to ignorance. So, whereas the antidotes to ignorance, he taught, victors or the conquerors taught, is an antidote to all of them. So the antidote to ignorance, not only that it is the antidote to ignorance, it is the antidote to all other afflictions such as attachment.
다간다 머리바 되게 nembo 소 간다 nembo 소 이제 가서 머리바 되게 nembo 요도 메도 다가 머리도 있다와 되게 돈이도 있다와 좋아 다 돈이도 있다와 되게 머리바 nembo 예 머리바 nembo 때문에 머리바 되게 제 전에 내가 공부 가자 차만 뒤지 오라 뒤지 오 머리바 되게 좋아 머리바 대왕게 난 내가 공부 가자 무슨 너무 뭐가 뒤지 오라
Maybe kingi the
o
kingi.
mariba chi o mariba sa mariba shitsa tusa mariba tuge mu denzi mariba tuge tuge ne won de chaso ne mu kanga de di che wore ni che wo da mariba de ne mu che wo di mariba de ne mu te wo di shenta de ne mu ma di che wo ni so ma che mariba de do di shenta ko ala do sa reso che mariba pa wo di shenta ko pa sa re ya wo dire da mariba ne mu na chama ne mu te ko che ne da mo
Di mari pati nyembo tendu ni di shenda yang di nyembo tengi
o
oro.
ne mu te sa re
Sini di shi mari pati di pongdu ni di nyembo shenda ini yang pongdu tengi oro. Yeah. So the antidote to ignorance is the view of realizing selflessness. View realizing selflessness is the antidote to ignorance. So because of ignorance, ignorance is the root of afflictions. So also it refers to the true grasping, the ignorant true grasping. So this ignorance, because of this ignorance, then other afflictions arise. So the ignorance is the root of other afflictions. So if we apply antidotes to the root, which is the afflictions itself, the root of afflictions, which is ignorance, then it also means that we are applying the antidotes to other afflictions because other afflictions are based on ignorance. So if we apply antidote to the root, we also apply antidote to the other afflictions. If we abandon the root, which is ignorance, then we also abandon other afflictions that is based on the ignorance.
어, 다 된다 들어와. 다 간다 가서 말이 거기 님고 지 소원이 님고 따라게 님고 된다라. 그래서 옆에 가서 변대샤나 보지게 뭐도 맞아 님고 띵어디 나 신경 나고 돼. 예. 뭐도 맞아 수도 있어도 그냥 말이지. 와. 내 님고 자고 말이지. 님고도 그거 맞아 진 님고 제우지. 정말 긴 님고 누구서 내 저거 말단 가서 진짜 된다 되시는 거야. 진짜 마시야 된다 제우래. 그러니까 어 우리 뭐 때문에 너무 잠만 두고 그래서 나 너무 싫어 되잖아 아지다 그러나 그것도 그냥 뭐 구로라서 그때 상바지 공부하다 제가 상바 공부야 구로라서 봐 뭐도 맞췄어도 야 되잖아서 봐 그렇게 막 그래 내 너무 때문에 그것도 이거 와 어떻게 나서 뭐 하는 거면 근데 맞아 상바 되기 때 공부 되기 너무 때문에 야 머리 빨리 먹기 때도 그냥 머리 빨리 먹기 상바 되기 뭐 그때 되고 뭐 와. 어다 대화 나시 Sama mari ma tu dia sama mari ni mo te cha no mo je ka ga ni mo te du re se ni da ni shi wo wa se lo de ta na de ro ni wa
So when we apply antidotes or when we abandon the root, which is ignorance, then we also apply antidotes to or abandon other afflictions that based on ignorance. So as Clear Words says, the nine divisions of the Buddha's teachings based on the two truths, such as the sets of sutras, are perfectly proclaimed to meet the extensive behaviors of worldly beings. Among them, those taught in order to remove attachment will not eliminate hatred. So if we ask it that antidotes taught by the conqueror in order to remove attachment will not eliminate hatred because they are partial antidotes. And those taught in order to remove hatred, such as generate loving kindness, will not eliminate attachment. So even though loving kindness can remove hatred, it will not eliminate attachment nor ignorance.
na mari ba ni mo te ma ka na mari ba de ne su re se mari ba de ni ma sa ba mari ba de ni mo ka te we ni shi ma re se wo wa ni ta pa sa ru ta ta ma ma wa mari ba de ni ma sa na mari ba de ni mo ka ni ni mo ti shi ma re mari ba ni sa ba ke ki mo re se ta te le cha ni wa
Yeah, so that being so, you must meditate on suchness as the antidote to ignorance. So suchness also the view of realizing suchness or emptiness as the antidote to ignorance. Moreover, unless you have identified ignorance, you will not know how to cultivate its antidote. Therefore, it is extremely important to identify ignorance. Yeah, so I will stop here.
ya je le ma ka mari ba de ma shi ni ro wa ni da ma ka ma shi ni
Yeah. Next class, I'm going to talk about ignorance.
ha tri to to ya te se mo mo da da tri te sha ni ro wa ha tri te sha ni to wa ni ha de de ma ka de wa
So today we don't have much time left for question and answer. So if you have any, please ask in coming class.
da da na ga de bi to de la de chi te ba de ba de wa de wa ha ko sa de wa mo chu wi ten ji te ta ma sa shi ni se te ba da de ko se de mo ji shu je ba da 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 ma tu te ma mo shu ji da ta ma tu ni ya so fa ni do ta ma tu ni ba ni su le le do ma tu to pa ni de da ta na ni pa shi ni yu da da ni to ko ta wa shi de ba ma mo ji da so pa to ya chi bi ni pe ko ni da ta ma su te mo ya bu na ro chi su ba
Yeah, so we conclude this session with dedications. We dedicate the roots of virtue to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma and to the excellent happiness of all sentient beings. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha's teachings, mainly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to live eons long with excellent health. All their holy wishes and enlightened activities be accomplished instantaneously and be spread in all 10 directions. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue specifically to our beloved teacher, Kevsar Lama Zopa Rinpoche, endowed with great kindnesses. May Rinpoche's holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously, and may the unmistaken reincarnations of Rinpoche be swiftly returned and continue to turn the wheel of Dharma for the sake of teachings and sentient beings, so that we will have the precious teachings, precious opportunity to receive teachings from you again. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to the world peace. May excellent happiness prevail in the world. May wars, conflicts, especially nowadays, the wars that happens between countries. So wars, conflicts be pacified immediately. And may pandemic, transmitting diseases, disaster, natural disaster, and there are many natural disaster that happens all around the world. And may all these disaster be pacified immediately. So it's very important to dedicate in these ways sincerely.
老给今年早点给我
我的天当主啊，主那旁边当给我即是罗当抓马一，天边的莫人都是些有抢救生救而不见马切把那急救进去把娘把没发呀，过年空多陪我是我家别朋友知道这把那空多是不天啊，对今天的那空姐接受到路线，给我的老当接了多，我土地到啊而不见马切把那急救进去把娘把没发呀，过年空多陪我说日你到啊而不见马切把那急救进去把娘把没发呀，过年空多陪我说，你结束都准备了，其实是在估计点头人看到微博等这一条做了，我的说现在的多说，今天看的本的马六把看的主要是被，这从没等这条。说的说同学来就说，大面就把这些的让做，我上讲话也是就把按照新年教育嘛的话，对对，不管准备别的作用，所准备后台的东西，写到准备自己别忘了，那要么就随便国家去出来，接着那么说话的，平天把的就为国家还得那么就是话，得了几多这把这边把到不了情况，现在一两万的，就说那种其他的，变成那就都接了，这边这边要这设备在街上这些别的有些。那个我也习惯在北大电话嘛的，接着是我对这家作业下的时间报读的。